Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey. Check 1 2 1 2. What's happening, listeners? Time to wake up, move your body. It's more for me, telling myself that. I sit in front of a screen 16 hours a day, so got to get up and move your body. Paul.
Yeah, it's important. It's important.
What's important?
Keep them joints loose.
Say what? Say what?
Keep them joints loose.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Friday, February 10th, 2023.
Hey.
Came over here and messed all my settings up. Good morning to y'all. I told him, don't ever come over Black Man's house and mess with his stereo.
Or his car.
Or it's my records. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, all of you ghost listeners coming on in. I slowly but surely, I see y'all. Good morning to Pops. He says, good Friday morning, First Sky crew and fam. Another week has flown by so quickly. Mad love from Vegas. Appreciate that very, very much. Pops, mad love from Omaha. So, yeah, appreciate this. Friday, February 10th. I think we're feeling like it's happy that it's Friday.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a long week. Been a long week.
Man, it really has been a long week and a half, really. Like, seemed like we were just doing our taxes.
Yeah, we've been in the tax hole for the last couple weeks here.
Man,
trying to get things together. Tough. Would suggest get a jump on it. Don't leave. Yeah. That's something you can't leave to the last minute. We found out.
Do your taxes, folks. Do your taxes.
That woman gives us a good morning with a smile. What's happening? How you doing this morning? Also, Josh. I just remembered just seeing your post here. You hit me up yesterday. I forgot to get you back. I apologize for that. I'll give you a call today. Josh Tate says, I like my joints just right, not too loose, not too tight.
All right. I think we might be talking about different types of joints, but we'll be getting into that a little later, though.
I was going to say it's very appropriate for today. It was Cannabis Day yesterday at the legislature. I want to give a shout out to the 630 crew and let me know how the mix was. Hey. You got up and listened this morning. Appreciate you over there on the digital channel. Once again, you got to understand that we have a celebration of Black music going on a digital radio channel. When we stopped working over there at Mind and Soul on the FM dial, we immediately started a digital channel, and we kind of rocked that Mind and Soul vibe that we created over there. We brought it over to First Sky Omaha Radio. So if you got an Amazon Alexa, then let Alexa know you want to hear First Sky Omaha Radio. Check us out. You can also go to the website firstsky.omaha.com, hit the listen button, and chill out, man. It's a vibe for sure.
Man, definitely. Might hear some of that Robert Glasper goodness on there.
Ooh, speaking of which, they laid this on us the other day, bro. They laid it on us. Robert Glasper said, you heard it here first. It's going down again July 28th to 30th. This is another resort. It's a different resort this time. They're trying to hit all the resorts in Napa.
Man, yeah, I checked it out. It's looking nice. For those who remember, Paul and I got our whole life, went out to the Blue Note Festival, represent the Omaha swagger out there with, some old Omaha heavyweights.
Big time.
Terrence Martin,
Gabrielle Union,
You know.
So, and the plan was, work on getting some of these folks to Omaha so you can see some of that amazing new jazz and stuff that's happening, man. So,
we're
steady working on that and made some good connects when we were there. And very, very very sure that we're gonna be back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
already got invited back, as a matter of fact, by Terrell. So we're getting ready to make sure that happens, man. We got to make that connection with what's going on here with the new music for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, kind of already started again. For those of you who remember back in the Hi-Fi House days, was able to get Curly and a few of the Blue Note heads out to do their thing, man. And now that there's a couple more Grammys, couple more, amazing records out, we got to definitely work on bringing them back, man.
For sure. Michelle Moreno gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Appreciate it. That woman says, enjoying the sunshine and friends. Minor surgery on Monday. That marks no more chemo. Congratulations.
Hey,
okay.
hey.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate that bit of information there. Pop says another COVID weekend. Y'all cold. Y'all cold blooded.
They ain't not letting them forget.
Y'all cold blooded. Christy North says good morning. Good morning to you as well. Thanks for joining us over here on YouTube. Once again, if you missed any parts of this show, you can always go back to YouTube and Facebook and watch it in its entirety. And when you do, check out the chats, because that's where most of the conversation is going on. So appreciate everybody who's joining in the chat with the chat chimers today. This time I'm not gonna slack on nothing this time. I'm definitely wearing a mask.
Man.
Speaking of which, there's some news about COVID going on right now, though. It's interesting because I posted on Friends of First Sky Omaha Ernie Chambers show, and they got a whole piece on COVID is still with us. And I heard Terry Sanders too on the Omaha Star on the broadcast that she did, the live stream that she did, saying that too. COVID is still with us. And so when it comes to us in our neighborhoods, obviously we're still dealing with it in a big way, but nationally they're getting ready to declare that it's not an emergency anymore, and they're gonna let the drugs run out, and after that you're gonna have to buy them instead of get them for free, and all that. So there's big shift coming when it comes to that. It just went out to all the governors that it's gonna by spring we'll be out of this, what they are calling a state of emergency. So
yeah,
but COVID is still with us.
Exactly. It's that was kind of the conclusion, around the 2021 mark. Is like, what is it? What does the end look like? And it really is no end. It's kind of the new norm. It's just gonna be around like flu, and you're gonna have to go get your flu shots. Get your whatever else shots people get. That's gonna be right along with it. And Walgreens gonna throw discounts. I'm sure you're not gonna have to pay too much, but yeah, that's going to be a thing moving forward. I don't think COVID is just going to disappear. But at the same time, I don't think, like you said, it's going to be to emergency levels. I think the declaration of it not being an emergency anymore, although it's still around, although people are still getting sick, people still going to the hospital. That's still the case for flu. So, right. I don't want to downplay it, but I don't think it should be what it's been over the last couple years. Just, do what you can.
Pop says, yes, China shut down their COVID stuff too, but within a month they had numbers skyrocket up again.
I did hear about that.
Yeah. Yep. That woman says there are still children and childcare providers testing positive and getting sick. So, like I said, man, every time we talk to anybody we talk to, it's like COVID's still with us. And no matter what they're saying on the news. Ariel's 402, good morning, in the chat says UNO honored Omaha hero Sailor Charles Jackson French, the human tugboat, yesterday during Black History Month.
Okay.
Appreciate that update on that, man. That's what's up.
I'm going to have to look into that story, that person.
Yep. While we're talking about Black history, I might as well throw in my little known hip hop fact while we're here. This is 50 years of hip hop. I'm going to get it out of the way now so I don't forget. Run DMC signed hip hop's first endorsement deal.
Yep.
Did you know that? And I'm sure everybody knows who with who, right? And you got to know with who.
Adidas.
The Adidas. That's right. The Adidas deal. Heard it wasn't that great of a deal. They went back and negotiated several times and never got a better deal. And that prompted Russell Simmons to do a Adidas style shoe for Fat Farm. And they put their own shell toe out. That
makes sense. I do remember the Fat Farm shell toe with the fat laces. I think I had a pair at one point in time.
Man, everybody's from 1975 on has had a pair at some point.
Yeah. I think I had a pair. I think the laces frayed on me. But I mean, it makes sense. The first endorsement deal, you don't know. You don't know how much impact that's going to have or what that's going to do. Like they never knew that they would have a, Madison Square Garden full of people holding up Adidas. They never knew that.
Man.
You definitely strike a better deal if you know that's coming.
Man. Yeah, no, they did. They took advantage for knowing what they knew at the time and all that. That's for sure.
Right.
But it's interesting. It's the norm now for everybody to have a shoe deal from music artists to athletes to everybody. So that's interesting.
Man. Speaking of that, real quick, they are putting out the story of Nike and Jordan. I don't know if anyone
Oh,
is
really?
interested. Yeah, it's a movie. I mean, it's star-studded too. Viola Davis, Ben Affleck.
Oh, it's a fictional movie, huh?
Yeah. It's a movie. It's going to the silver screen, but Viola Davis plays Jordan's mom. Like they're
Man. Okay. Shout out to Viola Davis.
Look like she's doing her thing in there too. I don't know how I feel about Nike, after the whole Kyrie situation, but
Yeah, I mean, after the whole Jordan's situation, they really kind of hurt the community with the proliferation of that shoe in a big way.
And that's what the movie is all about. So I got mixed feelings. There's the nostalgia factor, but there's also like that.
Yeah. Anybody still wearing Jordans? Man, I actually went and looked at a pair of Jordans here recently because I'm down at the Y playing ball again and stuff, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna get some basketball shoes. Let me see what's happening. But yeah, they're still a little too steep for me, bro. I can't. It's hard for me to spend that kind of money on some shoes, bro, that I know I'm gonna break down the sides of in a week.
150 and up.
Yeah, that's that. Shorten the cord. That woman says, I met a childcare provider who was in a coma 22 days from COVID this summer. My son's father is not the only one. Man. Yeah, it's that's the other thing though. Even though it might be as common as flu, COVID still hit some people real hard, man. And they still don't really know what's up. I've never been right ever since I had it.
Really?
Never. Yeah, I get sick differently now, and I don't know. It's just I've been sick more frequently since I had COVID than I was before. Before I go through a sinus thing like once a year, and that was kind of it, kind of flu like thing happening if I didn't get the flu shot or something. But man, after COVID, it's like there's something happening every other week, just about.
Man,
so,
it's interesting. Would you say you've experienced what they call long COVID? Like some athletes have talked about that too, as far as
possibly, man. I still have the way that I was fatigued the whole time I had COVID. That kind of hits me still. I'll get up and feel that way in the mornings sometimes. So yeah, I mean, there's something going on. Definitely, there's something going on. I don't really have the respiratory problem though with it. So that's not a thing for me. It's still my allergies and sinuses that give me the most trouble. But for the most part, it's I don't know, man. It's just that sick feeling in your chest, and that kind of you got some energy zapped. I get, if I do get a little cough or something like that, I get real nervous about, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's definitely different. I don't know if it's the long COVID, because I think that people who got long COVID are actually like still get bedridden sick and have to take medicine. And I don't have to do all that. So I'm not sure.
Mama Guy in the chat, she's also saying there's definitely a long COVID effect. Having caught COVID a while ago now.
Anybody else have the long COVID? Anybody else feeling that and still struggling? Let us know in the chat for sure. Carolyn Jack gives us a good morning with some sunshine. She says, "Have you tried Navage? What a Navage? I swear by it. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay,
I certainly haven't tried it.
Go to the Googles. Navage.
There you go. Mama God says, my cousin and her hubby were hospitalized from it several years ago. They are now very easily sick and lack energy frequently. See, that's what I mean. So we hit that blue note this time. I'm definitely masking up. I don't care what the trend is.
Yeah. Don't care what the future says.
For sure. Lots to talk about today. It's already 7:15. If you believe in the concept of time, we will have brothers Senators Terrell, Mckinney, and Justin Wayne on to do a little bit of a legislative report, talk about some of the things that they have been talking about here in the last week in the legislature, and also what's coming up. So get your questions ready for them. love to be able to ask them stuff directly. So they spend their time to be able to come here and talk directly to us. And so, yeah, get your questions ready and let's have some conversations for sure. And other things in the news, buddy, what else we talking about today?
Man, well, definitely gonna follow up on what you mentioned as far as looking at some of the bills, specifically one of the bills that actually Senator Wayne, put some respect on his name, mentioned last Friday, looking at the medical cannabis bill, which has reached a lot of, or gained, I should say, a lot of attention on Capitol Hill. So we'll definitely talk about that. Also, looking at LB 810, which is a bill that was titled the Adopt the Medical Ethics and Diversity Act, which will give medical providers, insurance providers, doctors, nurses, whoever, if you're in the medical field, you will be getting the discretion to render service or not based on your moral beliefs, according to this article. And of course, you know that there's a little more to this, and then the language. Got to do some reading between the lines to see exactly who will be impacted by a bill like this. So we'll definitely talk about that. Speaking of who's being impacted out there, I definitely want to talk again, continue our conversation about the sister that was attacked here in the community and left brutally attacked and left unable to move. So we'll talk about that situation. Finally, a report coming out in the news, the media finally covering it. So we'll talk about that situation and also continue our conversation on education. Of course, there's a battle brewing in Nebraska between private and public schools. Should charter schools make their way to Nebraska? What does that whole education landscape look like in the future? So we'll dive into that. And we'd definitely love to hear your thoughts on that situation. Of course, if there's anything on your hearts, your minds that we're not discussing, as always, feel free to drop that into the chat as well. But in the meantime, in between time, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you first-time listeners, last-time listeners, chat chimers, ghost listeners, everybody's here. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. Paul B.
Yo.
Let's go.
Let's do it. What up? Good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, all of you ghost listeners, thanks for joining us on this Friday, February the 10th, 2023. Let us know what your weekend is like. We'll definitely have a extensive Haps at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. And also, of course, we'll have a special guest on, brothers Senators Terrell, Mckinney, and Justin Wayne. Put some respect on their names and really appreciate them coming in and ask some questions. Get your questions ready for them as well, for sure. And I will be talking to them and a lot more that's going on. I've been hearing some calls for people to go up to the legislature today. Today's the day for certain bills that need some support. So we'll keep on putting that call to action out to see if we can get people up to do that. Now that we understand the process, then the best help that we can give our senators when it comes to passing these laws that have to do with our own lives is to go up and testify and also just be there in your physical form, showing support. And of course, if you can't get there because of work, then there's avenues for you to write letters and do things in support as well to get on the public record up there on certain things. So I'm really proud of the chat chimers that are getting into Friends of First Sky Omaha and putting calls to action out there. They're getting in there and saying, please come up for this particular bill and breaking down what that bill is about. I think Marianne Williams did that, just breaking down the significance of the bill, explaining it in short explanation. You can kind of understand what's happening and understand why it's important to go up. And so we'll definitely be keeping track of those things and going up and checking it out. Just want to jump back into the chat here real quick before we get started. But Carolyn Jack says motorized neti pot. I see you put that up. That's what that is. I swear by the neti pot myself.
You plugging that thing up to your face?
Man, well, this one is a motorized one. I don't have a motorized one. I have like the original one, of the original ones. But every day I have to clean out the nasal passage with a neti pot, which is a thing that you put some hot water and a saline solution in, flush your nose out. It's just it's just part of my daily hygiene nowadays.
Man,
So interesting that this one goes in both your nostrils and is automatic. I have to see what's up with that one. Appreciate
where
you.
does the water come out? Your ears? How's that?
No, it comes back out your your nasal passage. So I guess that machine shoots it in and then it falls out. I'm not sure what it does.
It looks intense.
Yeah, because the neti pot is one where you kind of tilt your head, you put it in one
Right.
nostril, it comes out the other side. So yeah, that other one looks pretty intense. I have to talk to Carol and Jack about that one.
Double action.
Ariel's 402 says no one is the same after having COVID.
Man.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of suffering for that. Also, Melvin Muhammad gives us an assalamu alaikum family.
Hey, alaikum salam, brother.
Long time no hear from, brother. Thanks for joining us again. I want you to put out there. I don't know if you're still doing this, but I'm gonna still keep on pushing because these are the best bean pies in town right here. So hit up brother Muhammad if he'll let you know if he has any. Sometimes he be sold out. So, but yeah, hit him up. You can hit him up for orders 402-577-0638, or if you're a friend with him on Facebook, go ahead and hit him up on Facebook. Let him know that you're in the market and get down on some of that action for sure. Appreciate you coming on through, brother. Pop says again, the government said in advance that they're going to concentrate their reports on other aspects of COVID where the numbers were more positive. No reports on seniors, etc. They are doing that. Very interesting. Yep. Ghost Listener says, what does Mckinney co-sponsor of vouchers mean? Ghost Listeners 402 is asking that. All right, yeah, cool. We'll save that question. I'm not really sure myself. We'll save that question and for them to come on. Also, Rick Fulton in the house says, has anybody ever met boxer Terrell Crawford? Are you talking about
Terrence
Crawford? Yeah. Yeah, we did. We covered the street naming among other things. But yeah, he's been around, live in the same neighborhood as the boxing gym and all that good stuff. So yeah, we'd love to have him on at some point too, just talk about what's going on. Terrence, right? Yeah, I thought so. Sorry, man, it's early in the morning for me too. I ain't have my
you get past
brain freeze like Terrell. Who is he talking about? Terrence McKinney.
McKinney boxing now.
Yep. Thanks for everybody who's joined in. It's always a good time to talk to you guys in the morning. There's a definite distinction. It's like those that get up with us in the morning and we have a kind of loose discussion and talk about things. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, before we get started too, I watched a little bit of the 1619 Project on Hulu last night.
Nice.
I'm on I'm on the third episode, but I think during the second episode, tripped me out, man. They did a whole thing about race and the whole thing about how it's a construct, about black and white as a construct and how that is. And we say this, and we've been saying this every day. We say quote unquote black, quote unquote white, because there is no such thing. And it's interesting that there's such a huge part of the 1619 Project show on Hulu that talks about that. And I'm talking about they go back why they made those distinctions.
Yeah.
And everything else, how they had to separate people and for hierarchy and for slavery purposes. So I highly encourage you definitely checking it out. You got to be in the right mind state to watch it because it's raw. But 1619 Project on Hulu is definite watch for everybody. I'm sure you check it out, man.
Powerful. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Conversations that need to be had, man. We got to stop living in illusions. It causes unnecessary problems.
Man, you said it. I like that. In the meantime, between time, let's go ahead and jump into some stories here. 7:24 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, buddy, what's on the agenda?
Man, well, speaking of illusions, one elected official once said that marijuana was going to kill the kids.
Yeah.
And that argument, that debate has now found its way back to Capitol Hill as the battle over medical marijuana has been a long one in Nebraska. And of course, many failed bills have failed. But that does not stop supporters from continuing to try. Petition drives failing on technicalities hasn't been much success for supporters. But again, what they might lack in success, they make up for in persistence. Krista Eggers, who's a Nebraska Families for Medical Cannabis volunteer, says to have medical cannabis is as an option to talk with their doctors about it. This is the way to do it. This bill is drafted beautifully, and it will be one of the most narrow conservative bills in the nation. Again, as Paul always says, Nebraska is probably going to be the last state, if they ever do it, to legalize marijuana. Paul, you've kind of pushed the idea, and I think you might be onto something with this, that Nebraska much rather build prisons and fill them with people trying to, deal in marijuana legally from other states. They rather catch them going from state to state than to collect the tax dollars from legalizing it. More so just saying Nebraska is more okay with being a jail state. Under the bill, LB 588 to be exact, patients would have one of a narrow set of diagnosis and written certification from a physician. Under the language of the bill, only 16 conditions can qualify. That certification would need to be renewed every 90 days. For providers, any prescription must come with a physical examination and assessment for drug or alcohol abuse or a family history of mental illness. And again, at the center of this conversation is health. Again, a lot of people definitely dealing with pain, chronic pain, not schizophrenia, seizures. Man, a lot of children, a lot of families are at the center of this conversation. Not, your typical pot abuser, if you will, or at least the image that comes to mind. Your hippie. They're not the ones that's in Capitol Hill arguing this. A lot of families are at the center of this argument, pushing to get this as an alternative medication for, again, pain, cerebral palsy, things like that. What are our thoughts on this?
My first thought was the headlines are talking about this being one of the most conservative pushes for medical marijuana in the country, which I thought was interesting headline that was in the headlines. Because like we're saying, it doesn't seem like that it will ever happen in Nebraska. This is like one of the best approaches for it to go. But just like how who said in the chat, that woman said it's the most restrictive medical cannabis bill in the country. Only 16 conditions qualify, and your doctor has to reevaluate you every 90 days. No mental health is covered. So when you dig into the situation, it seems like even though that's for the passing of this bill, the bill is very restrictive in the first place. It's really interesting. Marianne Williams says, Senator Mckinney said in a hearing yesterday that he used weed in his teens, has 2 degrees, is in law school, and is a state senator. So
definitely not dead.
And his kids are still alive too. So that's what happens. We're referring to Pete Ricketts saying if you buy marijuana, then you're basically killing your kids. So there it is. Rick Phillips says Wayne and McKinney support for private schools makes. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing the private school situation. That we definitely have that on an agenda to talk to today about some of the money that's going to these things, and we continue our conversation about private schools, charter schools, their importance, and everything. We seem to be have a Chimers section that is kind of split on the idea of whether or not those things are good things, but we'll come back to that. Right now, we'll definitely talk about what's going on here with these bills. It was kind of a whole cannabis day yesterday, from what I understand. Here's that woman saying cannabis is the only thing that helps neuropathy pain from chemo. Or is that pronounced neuropathy? Pain from chemo. It wouldn't be approved for that. Plus, my mother lived her life with mental illness, so I wouldn't be approved. Right. So some of the reasons why they're saying, some of the other states that are saying this is why we're going to say okay because of the pain situation in there. Some of those things, some people won't qualify even for that. So, I mean, there's digging into it. It's interesting. I kind of put it out to the chat. What is it you think about this particular bill? And I can't wait to ask the senators about it too, because they're behind some of the bills legalizing it. in certain areas too. But this particular one was brought by a lady. I forgot which senator brought that one. But yeah, most conservative ask in the country is pretty interesting to me. They say that.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Senator Anna Wishart was the one who introduced the bill.
Yeah.
LB 588, Senator Anna Wishart.
So I mean, cool. I'm glad that she did that. But digging into it, I can definitely see some strategy there.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why she would present it that way because of who she's up against, asking for support for this. If you have a governor that says you're gonna kill your kids if you buy it, then most of most of the people that you got to fight here, you got to really kind of dig in. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, and they had a lot of good things to say. They had, it was the arguments are undeniable,
Yeah.
but that doesn't stop people who are still trying to act like it's a gateway drug. One senator got up and asked if there's going to be money in the provisions in this bill for people who want to get off of it, as if you need a rehab center to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like lots of strange things. Pop says the world illusion doesn't come to my mind. What does come to my mind is the phrase flat out unadulterated catastrophic ignorance. Wow,
I mean,
that's a strong phrase.
yeah. And yeah. The ignorance perpetuates the illusion.
Yeah. Very interesting. So yeah, I can't wait to ask the senators what they thought of yesterday's session, which they're calling the Cannabis Palooza.
Yeah, I think that was Senator Wayne. Put some respect on his name. In regards to the battle that supporters of this bill would face, as you mentioned, Anna Wishart did comment saying it's a more conservative body, but a lot of us have found, especially those of us who have gone out to the 3rd district and some of the most conservative parts of the state and country, is this issue is very bipartisan. Polling we have done, and if the 3rd district alone were to exclusively vote on this issue, the issue would pass on the ballot. So again, varying backgrounds supporting this, again saying that it's bipartisan, and the support has been pretty widespread across the state. I mean, again, they've volunteers have been able to get enough signatures and things like that, so the people of the state have shown that they support it. But it's always a technique, like you said, it's always the powers that be. It's always a technicality. I believe there was a Nebraska Supreme Court ruling that basically ruled that the wording of the bill was too nuanced and included another bill which went against the law, which went against the rules of writing bills. Very, very nuanced ways to, they're finding every way they can to strike it down. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Again, they're building another prison. Will they use this as a reason to fill it? We'll see.
Marianne Williams in the chat says, I wish more of the medical marijuana people had supported decriminalization bill, which would have also helped medical marijuana users. Yeah, definitely. That's a big part of that thing, the decriminalization of it. There's all these states that are fine with it. In one state now, it's been, it's cool now, but people are still being criminalized for small amounts and stuff like that in other places, including here. She says, and don't forget that Nebraska voters supported medical marijuana on the ballot and Ricketts squashed it.
Exactly.
This is one of the things that has been really striking me in learning about any of this stuff in the past 5 years or 6 years we've been doing this. But I really came into this thing thinking if the majority of the people want something, their representatives are going to go push for that. And that's it's just kind of open. Like if the majority wants to, have capital punishment, then they're just going to be killing folks because they, what I'm saying? Like all the way to something as crazy as that to me is possible in this country. What I'm understanding though, is that the majority of people can want something and these powers, these so-called powers that be are up in there just making their own decisions about according to whatever club they're in.
Man.
Which is a trip.
Which is understandable. When people get disillusioned in voting, that's understandable. You know what I mean? Because you would think that that's how democracy works. But Trump didn't win the popular vote. You know what I mean? Nebraska isn't supposed to have capital punishment, yet Ricketts is still killing people. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Brother Sanchez in the chat says, Book of Genesis, verse 29. Then God said, I give you every seed bearing plant on the face of the earth. They will be yours for food. He said, unadulterated. He said, where is he at? You said God didn't give us crime. Okay, so I like it's interesting to me when people people who are for or pro cannabis, they remind you we talking about a plant that grows from the ground. We talking about a plant. Um, you know, I was listening yesterday. Brother Wayne was sitting there talking about we don't even talk about it in the word in the phrases of marijuana anymore because marijuana was a phrase they came up with to stigmatize it with black and brown Americans back in the day. But cannabis has been in the canon forever. There's George Washington had cannabis fields and hemp fields. It was called hemp back in the, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting that the arguments are just undeniable when you hear them. So it's really, really, really interesting when you hear people opposing them, why they are, because it sounds way out of left field to me.
If I'm not mistaken, like the Declaration of Independence or one of those like principal doctrines are written on hemp
Written
paper.
on hemp paper, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Well, moving on. Like I said, I feel like I'll be anxious to hear what the senators had to say about yesterday's uh, cannabis palooza during the day. But moving on from there, and also always give us your thoughts on these things and let us know what to do next, especially people who are following this.
Man, for sure. Man, might have to go back and cue Michelle's soapbox moment. She did a pretty good job at laying out kind of the history and why some of the legislation around drugs, and the quote unquote war on drugs and
Yeah.
who that war actually was against. Yeah. She does a pretty good job at laying that out. But moving forward, because there's always a weasel, there's always a way to work around these bills, and there's always something to look out for. And LB 810 is exactly that. Even if we do pass LB 588 and we do get medical cannabis on the docket, and there is laws that supports it, and people who need it, who are actually in pain and dealing with chronic illness, can get the medication that they need. Unless LB 810 passes, this is the Adopt the Medical Ethics and Diversity Act, which will have wide range impacts if this is passed. Just making a segue, making a connection, and for those who aren't familiar, the Adopt Medical Ethics and Diversity Act is a law that basically gives medical providers discretion. It allows them to deny patients non-emergency service based on ethical reasoning, their ethical moral values. They can deny any non-emergency service on that basis if this law passes. Which again, we all know what that language means. We all know how to read between the lines on that. But I do want to just lay out again the areas that it impacts. Of course, we know that if this medical marijuana bill passes, that you still have to go to a doctor now every 90 days to get your license, to get your certificate, right? Your evaluation, your certificate, and all that. If doctors don't agree with it, if we have a bunch of conservative doctors and it is Nebraska, then again, that's going to be a problem. They can basically decide not to serve you. That's one area. Of course, we'll talk about it, the sister that was attacked, but trans people, again, trans treatments, services, gender changing procedures, all of these are viewed as non-emergency. So again, it will be next to impossible to get that type of service, to get that type of medical treatment in Nebraska if a bill like this passed. It's actually, this bill, LB 810, is actually being called an anti-trans bill. But it also can be looked at as an anti-abortion bill because, again, if a doctor, is against abortion or morally on a moral level, then they can decide they have the discretion not to serve. And again, that makes it harder for those who need abortion to find that. So again, LB 810 has a lot of areas that it impacts, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, I've been talking about Douglas County's declaration of health as a race disparity. I mean, what does it say for quote unquote black people and Mexican people or quote unquote brown people, Hispanic? Like they can choose any kind of moral thing to decide whether or not to treat somebody. So again, this is a very, very dangerous bill that we should all look out for.
As a matter of fact, I think they're going to be speaking on this today. I think I saw, let's see, who was saying, let's see. I usually write who put that idea out on Friends of Sky Omaha. I failed to do that, but there was a call to go up to Lincoln today to speak out against this bill, and like I said, we're in that mode right now. We're trying to speak out. We're trying to organize things so we can get people up, be physically present and speaking on these things to back the senators. And I think that's one that's going on today. So everybody's it's like, come on down and do something. I'm glad you put it in the context you did, because I've been hearing a lot about, like, in the chat, Judy Prince was saying gender affirming healthcare. This is kind of what the big part of this situation is with the bill, but there's other parts to that too. Like you said, if the marijuana bill gets passed, if doctors don't want to, if doctors feel like they don't want to prescribe something that you're asking for, or whatever, they can just decide not to, and all these other things to this bill, along with it. So you just kind of compounded the importance of helping support the pushing away of this bill. So that's happening today, and if anybody can get down there, definitely check that out, and support that situation too. It was in Friends of Sky Omaha for the last couple of days, so hopefully the word got out that this is the case, and we're trying to do that. Also, with the stuff that's been happening in the news with our trans population here in Omaha, it's also, it's been a topic all week long. It's been something all week long. There's been so much fight against it, and that's what I kind of really see about this too, especially like the part about abortion. So there was, so the majority of Nebraskans say one thing, and they are going to try to find another way. So now they're going to give the doctors the power to say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always like you feel the maneuvering all the time to get what they want to get, even if the word comes back to them that the majority is saying something else.
Very
And that's
Weasley.
really it's super Weasley, man. It's super weird to me to see that. Pop says in the chat, the concept of having representation is so that when the representation disagree with the masses, that they can take action on their own. That's what the founding fathers had in mind. The concept of having representation is so that when the representatives disagree with the masses, that they can take action on their own. That's what the founding fathers had in mind. So I'm just totally wrong, feeling like you're supposed to be in there representing your constituents. Founding fathers put things in motion. Is that what you're saying, Pops? The founding fathers put it in motion to where if they disagree with the masses, they can still hold the power. Is that what I'm understanding you saying? Marianne Williams says this bill is anti-trans, but not limited. It will affect birth control, psychiatric meds, etc. if they want to.
Yeah, anything.
Right.
Anything. And another thing is, it's not just pharmacists, or it's not just doctors. It doesn't stop at doctors being able to render you service or not. The new law, it also impacts pharmacists. It also impacts insurance companies. So say a doctor does see you, say you do get the service from the doctor, say you do get the medication that you need. A pharmacy company can choose not to fulfill your prescription based on the same grounds. Some kind of moral, whatever reason that they choose not to serve you, they can do that. Or say you get cancer, and an insurance company doesn't want to help pay for your chemo or pay for whatever you need for cancer because you used to smoke back in the day, some 20-30 years ago, and they feel like that's morally wrong. So on that grounds, they can choose not to pay for your treatment. Like, it's a very, very dangerous bill. And I think that's just a tip of the iceberg on the impact that it could have.
Wow. I'm not gonna say no more. That's the mic drop piece right there. That's pretty deep. Yeah, if you can make it down to Lincoln today,
man,
definitely suggest you do that. Gwen Easter gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Appreciate it. Yeah, man, that's really interesting.
It is, and I'm with the mayor, man. Mayor Sanchez in the chat says, with discretion sounds like qualified immunity. With having discretion, there is no oath. Again, remember, these medical professionals are under oath. There is, a medical association. There are medical groups and different things, that the standards, if you will, that these doctors are held to. This kind of, spits in the face of that. And you take in consideration, man, there's stories and instances where there's, you know, people on their deathbed and they're refusing aid because the nurse or something is quote unquote black. Well, what does that mean when you're the one who needs aid? You know, if somebody is about to die and they're still refusing aid on that, what does it mean when it's your turn to get the aid?
That's deep. That woman says, I have so many health providers to assist with my cancer treatment. This means that any one of them can screw up the others by denying me treatment due to my past.
Yep.
Ooh,
yep.
Bro.
And again, I mean, I don't know the bounds of this. What, you know what I mean? Like, they can choose anything to say that this is morally wrong. I believe this is morally wrong. I don't support this.
Bro. So glad that this show exists, that we were doing what we're doing. I knew this bill was important when I read about it. Didn't put it in any of these contexts until we talked about it. This is interesting.
Yeah, man.
This is incredible. This is super important. Pop says, yes, the founding fathers set this process or representation up, believing that the average farmer, etc., would not always make the best choices. So the educated, affluent ones could choose for them.
Yeah. But yet instead we have a constitution. There's a foundational principle doctrine and document that, you know, should guide things.
Yeah. Brother Sanchez asking, can those doctors keep others from rendering aid based on being qualified? I don't know. We have to dig into it. We got to kind of.
That's a good question.
Good question. Deep. We're running a tad bit late, so we're going to get to it. We got a special guest in the wings. It's 7:47 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we'll be right back, and we'll bring our special guest in. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, all of you ghost listeners. Terrell Mckinney coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We have a fight that's common to all of us. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging. The ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet.
Welcome back. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, and ladies and gentlemen, brother Justin Wayne and Terrell Mckinney in the house. Senators, brother senators Terrell Mckinney and Justin Wayne. Put some respect on their names. How are you doing this morning, fellas?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Oh, Terrell, Senator Mckinney, you gonna be late today. You still at the house.
Are we making you late?
I was like, I'm gonna just be there when it starts.
Hey, you know, it's like that sometimes. We appreciate you though for taking the time out to make it with us this morning on time. We appreciate that.
Yeah, really do. Brother Mckinney, since you run a little late, maybe we can start with you on a couple things. I see you got a couple things on your page that you got coming up here to be talking about on the 14th and the 15th. And I just want to know if you had any words here on this one, on these. Let's see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What is it? The 339 is a bill dealing with juvenile justice, confidentiality things, prohibiting, counties from sending them out of state.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the county is doing they're trying to do like a family resource thing, and I want to try to put some boundaries around that to make sure they're doing it right.
Yeah.
and then the other one is for hair grooming standards, really to prevent schools and teachers from discriminating against kids because of their hair or cutting their hair and things like that.
This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what trips me out about this, that nobody is really paying attention to some of these things. Sometimes these are laws that are affecting our lives, like our personal lives. We don't have if we're not in there helping back some of this stuff or helping block some of this stuff, then we just are allowing people just to make us live how we how they feel like we ought to be living. So again, we want to put those up early so we can start gathering some folks together to come in and support those things. Brother Wayne, I looked at your page. I didn't really see. I didn't. It was all last minute, but I didn't see if you had some
I
graphics
got
for
a
some
whole,
bills that you got coming out.
yeah, we got stuff coming up. I'm a judiciary chair. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be as far as number of bills and just getting things together. So I'm a little behind on posting some stuff. But next week in judiciary, he talked about Senator McKinney's 339. We got a couple other bills that are coming up as far as in the committee itself. A lot around juvenile data, just making sure we're tracking it, providing information to parents and everything, and just things like that. It's a kind of a light week in judiciary. Our big week was this week. We had a lot of prison reform, a lot of criminal justice reform stuff. And then yesterday was Marijuana Day in judiciary, where we had Senator Wishart's bill to do medical, Senator McKinney's bill to do recreational, and then my bill to just decriminalize it altogether. And so we'll be having those conversations. I think we'll be able to get a decent marijuana bill passed this year as far as medical marijuana.
Okay. So the headlines are saying it's the most conservative ask for this in the country. How do you?
Yeah, it's one of the most conservative medical marijuana bills in the country. Trying to start there and get some leeway. At the same time, I'm looking at, I think right now it's a $300 fine, or maybe a $500 fine for less than an ounce. So I'm looking at moving that down to a little bit less, maybe $50 fine. And then if you have more than a pound, it's a felony, and I want to bump that up to about 10 pounds. And basically go through and figure out the waxes and oils. I think we got to decrim them primarily because you can't really prosecute it. People don't know it's hard to get those tested, so they're not even really prosecuting them like they used to. So there's some things we're trying to do on that front.
I can understand that. I know people that smoke a whole pound a day, so that's if you even get a felony getting caught with your own stash, sometimes I can understand. This was a long day in the legislature yesterday. I kind of watched a lot of parts of it. How do you guys feel like it went? How was it received? The strategy you had with the three bills you guys were pushing.
I mean, the opposition testimony to me was expected. I just get frustrated when people come down and say we shouldn't change something because of whatever like crazy reason. Then we bring up our perspective of it, and it's like totally disregarded. Like, we not saying let's decriminalize marijuana or cannabis just because so people could just go smoke weed or do those type of things. The laws have had negative impacts on our community, and that's why we're trying to change it. And there's so many people that act like our allies that show up and say no and just disregard that perspective. And it's really it's eye opening though. That's a lot of bills.
That's what a lot of bills you said.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll give you an example of a bill that we're struggling. Well, I'm struggling with this in the committee. It's LB 77, which is a permitless carry. So basically, when you turn 19, you can carry concealed in Nebraska without a.
Hey, brother Wayne, something's going on with your internet. Something going on with your internet. Could you do me a favor and come out and come back in real quick?
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. No, I don't know why I'm apologizing for Cox Cable, but yeah, definitely want to hear that. Hear what you're talking about on that one. Let's see if we can. Okay, cool. We'll bring him back in real quick. In the meantime, if you in the chat have any questions for the senators, please put those in the chat for sure. We definitely want to keep talking to them about it. Those things that you were talking about, some of the nuances that you were saying. This cannabis bill being the most conservative has to do with those nuances that you guys are always talking about. That you guys have to kind of work in the room a little bit. So, okay, brother, you back?
No.
Yep. I get. Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, I was about to hop on my phone if I need to.
No, you're
No,
good.
you
now.
good. You good.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So LB 77 is a bill that allows you. Senator Brewer introduced. It basically says you can carry concealed once you turn 19. And there's a lot of people who don't like guns who are like, "Hey, this is it's going to make it more dangerous. It's going to do X, Y, and Z." But one of the questions Senator McKinney asked Chief Schmatter was, "Would this close the basically the arrest gap and the criminal disparity gap?" And he said, if this bill passed, it would. And because it's not a real cop safety issue, because when you get pulled over, they still get a right to make sure people in the car are okay, blah, blah, blah. It's on the back end where a lot of kids are picking up this concealed. They might legitimately own their firearm, but it's concealed in their car. Then they get charged with a concealed carry, and then they can never really become a prohibited person, and I mean a carry permit person. So then they become basically always driving around with a weapon that's illegal. And if you get 3 of those charges, you get a felony. Well, this would take away that city ordinance to bump up people. And last year, the president of the police union basically said this is a tool for us to arrest people. So it doesn't change how you purchase guns. It doesn't change any of that. But it does affect the back end charges that typically affect poor and black and brown people. And so on the face of it, everybody's like, you should be against it. But it's like when you look at the nuances, if we can reduce the disparity in arrests between black folks and white folks, I think that's something we got to look at.
Mm.
Yeah, I find that interesting, just the way that y'all look at the bills and the impact that you intend for it to have or expect it to have. And I'm hearing this a lot when you talk about various bills, whether it's, medical marijuana or education, or just you talk a lot about the impact that it has on arrest numbers and how some way, somehow, a lot of the bills that you tend to address or speak on leads to arrest, and how you're trying to combat that. Can you kind of speak to that mentality or why that perspective is so important?
Yeah. So when you look at criminal justice reform, there's different buckets. Oh, that's a red cup. It's just coffee in it. And so
a little extra.
But so you got different buckets. You got the pre-arrest, you got pre-trial, then you got like pre-sentencing, then you got sentencing, and then you got all the parole stuff at the end. So each bucket, you got to look at a bill through each bucket, and so you say, what can lead to reduced charges? So if we can reduce the charges, whether it's city ordinances or state law, then prosecutors can't stack, triple stack, quadruple stack charges, and you're still dealing with the person to be punished and rehabilitated, but we don't have all these extra charges. So we're talking about maybe even looking at like a baby bitch. So right now you got a habitual criminal. We call it a bitch, not in a negative way. We just call it a habitual. We shorten it up for a bitch. It's you commit 3 felonies, it's 10 years, hard 10 years. Well, maybe for non-violent stuff, maybe it should be a 3-year. Maybe it should be a 5-year. Maybe we should get rid of that mandatory minimum altogether. So each bill you got to look at what bucket does it fit in, and how does it reduce our prison population? How does it reduce the disparity while keeping the community safe? Because you got to keep the community safe on the back end. But it's really, you got to look through each bill with those kind of lenses. Is what bucket are we putting it in, and what impact can it have on the overall system? Because folks got to remember, 95% of the people who go into prison are coming out at some point. So right. we got to make sure they come back into society in a way that they can integrate themselves and be productive citizens. So that's how you got to look at it from the start all the way through the finish. And then the nuances of if they can't put the city ordinance charge on somebody and the officers are still safe and the community still safe, then do we need that city ordinance to put that charge at all? And that's the question we're kind of struggling with.
So, and I'm also seeing. So you're looking at you. First of all, you deciphering this bill, you putting it in the buckets and figuring out how to strategize this, and then you also got to look in the room and see the senators that you're working with that you need votes for, and so on and so forth. So you guys are seeing something that even if we sat here and read the whole thing and understood some of those nuances, we're still not in the room, reading the room, and understanding how you got to work with everybody kind of behind the scenes too, a little bit. That's what I'm understanding about that. Just to jump real quick into earlier we had a brother Rick Fulton that was asking about Bill LB 573, talking about we were trying to talk a little bit about education this time too. It says Wayne and Terrell are the deciding votes to pass LB 573, tax credited for private schools. We have an ongoing discussion here on this channel about private schools, charter schools versus public schools. A lot of folks that are our chat chimers are for charter schools, sending me stuff all the time talking about the benefits of charter schools in private schools, public schools, the whole debate. So can you give us a little background on that 573 and where you guys are on it?
Is it 573? I thought
No, it's not 573. That's
okay.
That's an economic development bill. I just looked it up. I was like, that ain't the right one.
I mean, there's 800 bills. So there's 800 of them.
753. You mean?
Yeah. But honestly, it goes back to nuance. Honestly, for me, I'm not a big private school person, and I'm not a big public school person. I think both systems have failed Black kids, but I strongly believe that Black kids should have an option, mainly because I know when I went to North High, I had classmates that didn't need to go to North High, and they would have succeeded in life in another system. But instead of forcing them into that, instead of giving them an option, a lot of them in the pen right now. I'm not saying it for everybody, but it's a lot of kids that don't prosper in that system and deserve an option. And the only reason they don't got an option is because a lot of times their family can't afford it. And that's what it is for me. It's not to say one is better than the other, but I think Black kids deserve an option. You know, we keep asking Black kids to wait for people to wake up and do the right thing while they're being failed. And that's been happening throughout our lifetimes. So that's where I'm at with it. And people,
for me, it's personal. Like, I used to be against it, and then I told a mom that we're going to improve her school system, so I ran for the school board, and I was on there for 4 years trying to improve the school system. And then her next kid now, is in high school, and I'm like, I'm still trying to improve the school system. And now her daughter is entering, 4th grade, and I'm like, I can't keep looking at this parent saying I'm hoping one day the school system will be better. And so for me, it's, I asked somebody on the mic, another senator, I'm like, so what do I tell that parent who is stuck in, first he said OPS wouldn't even be able to get better till over the next 50 years. I said, so what do I tell that parent in my community who wants to send their kid to a better school and don't have any options? And he just was like, I don't know. Like, and that's just the reality, right? Like, and the misnomer in this whole conversation is this $25 million tax credit, if it's not approved, it isn't going to education funding. Like, right. We already have a set TIOSA fund that has $1 billion something in it. That's our education funding. This money doesn't go to these kids. It just goes back into the general fund. It may go to water projects in Western Nebraska. It's a misnomer to be like, we're taking money from public money from public education and moving it to private schools. That's not the case. Okay. It's a separate bucket altogether, has nothing to do with education funding. But at the end of the day, my thing is here goes an example. When OPS decided they weren't going to play football during COVID, there's a high school, Burke High School, which over 55% of their varsity players upped and moved and transferred to a different school to make sure they could still play football.
Wow. And
they did that because many of the parents had the means to get an apartment in West Side and Elkhorn and Gretna and had their kids transfer. A lot of our OPS parents just can't pick up and move and say, I'm going to go get an apartment out in Miller to maybe have a different school setting. I don't think this is the answer for everything. I'm just saying I can't look at that parent no more after 12 years of being in public service and say, I'm sorry, you still got to keep sending your kid to the same school because we haven't been able to fix it.
So this is about choices. I'm sorry, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, definitely about choices. So my question is, what choice do you feel like parents are stuck with? Like, what are some of the issues that you're trying to address, Senator Wayne, in the school board that are still around?
I think you're.
Well, I mean, classroom settings, classroom size. You look at some schools that Phoenix Academy, they focus in on kids who have dyslexia and other learning disabilities, and some parents can't afford to send their kids there. Again, I don't know what a parent decision might make. I just want to have that parent have options, and I don't want income to be the limiting factor. You shouldn't, because you can't pay to go to a private school. North Omaha shouldn't just be stuck with the school system. And you shouldn't have to get on a bus and ride for 45 minutes to find a school that's desirable for your child. You should have it in your local neighborhood. That ain't happening. And so I'm just like, look, I can't lie to these parents anymore. I can't sit here and say, when your kid gets in third grade, things are going to be better. And I'm not knocking OPS. It may not just be the right system for that kid, and that parent shouldn't be limited because of their income. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's definitely not to knock OPS. I mean, I spend a lot of my time in OPS schools helping OPS kids. I just think, honestly, people deserve an option. Like, that's just where I'm at with it. Because I remember being a kid, not want to walk from school because we getting shot at and those type of things. Like, I don't think people really dive deep into what you go through as a student in public schools. It's not peaches and cream.
Man,
you got to hear about so much, and it messed with you, and it definitely harmed you educationally in a lot of ways. And that's where I'm at with it. I just think kids and families, and it's not for everybody. It's not to say everybody should go or everybody should try it, but I think there's kids that fall through the cracks. And a lot of reason they fall through the cracks is because of the schools they're in. And that's where I'm at.
I have to agree with that.
Go back and forth, man. I got friends that are homeless, straight took them out of school and just homeschooling. When I was living in Hawaii, there's a whole lot of charter schools, private schools that taught all kinds of different things. So, I mean, I feel like one system can't really contain everything that's needed in the first place. So I can understand why you guys are for, having some choices. And it's good to understand that they're not talking about taking public money or money for OPS and putting it to charter schools or private schools. There's two different fundraising situations that's going on there.
If they really cared about money going from another school district to another, a kid is worth more going from OPS to West Side. Literally, like a kid that's worth $5,000, if they go to West Side currently, they're worth $10,000. So let's be. If people really cared about that and really dug into that, like, let's be honest.
Not about the money on that. Yeah.
Now, see, that's one of the issues that people don't want to talk about when we talk about people who claim they in our corner, but don't really want to jump on. There's bills every year introduced on. It's called option enrollment. And basically, if you're a non-equalized school district, which means you don't get money from the state, or you get some, but not a lot, which is West Side. If that kid who lives at 30th and Ames decides he wants to go to Omaha North, the state says we're going to give you roughly $5,000 to pay for that kid's education. If that same kid goes to West Side, we're going to give you $10,000. So why is a kid worth less if he goes to North from the state's perspective? But see, when we bring that up, all of our friends who say they support public schools say, well, we need to keep that in place. But that's destroying our neighborhood schools. That's destroying our sports programs. That's destroying our communities, because now you don't see the kid that you grew up with until you get off the bus. And maybe at summertime, maybe that's not. Like, the sense of community is gone, but we can't have that conversation because it offends some people.
Why do they want to keep it that way?
Because West Side is making a lot of money off of those kids. And I ain't saying making it like they profited and putting money. Yeah. but over a third of West Side's enrollment is option kids. So they're making more dollars. It's not just us. It happens in Lincoln. Kids are going to Malcolm. It happens in Grand Island, where you got Grand Island and then Grand Island Northeast. They option it over there. It's just so dramatic in Omaha because literally you are in the same city. Literally, you're taking kids that are 5 minutes away from each other, and they worth $10,000 difference. But nobody talks about that when the money is following that kid, because it's okay for that. Because if you can punt, pass, and kick, we need you at these other schools.
Wow. playing chess with the kids, man. 8:10 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we're here with brothers Senators Terrell, McKinney, and Justin Wayne. Put some respect on their names. I do want to jump in the chat. I do see one question that I want to get to, and then I want to just let you guys go on what it is that's on top of your minds and what you want us to do next as well. Ty Williams in the chat says, I have a question for the senators. I know a person who was arrested in Pottawatomie County and charged daily. Now he has $3,000, a $3,000 bill. How is that legal? Because they are private.
Pottawatomie County is in Iowa though, so I don't practice in Iowa, so I can't really know it.
Also in the chat, Josh Tex says it feels like all parents would enjoy these options. Who doesn't want similar class sizes and better opportunities overall? Most definitely appreciate that. Ghost Listener 402 says good that them on the show. OPS board members should be sharing same info. Ricky always says to participate, but they're not active either. I've never reached out to Ricky and anybody from OPS except for Dr. Cheryl Logan was on the show when we were back in Mind and Soul days. But yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more, and also we're planning on having Brianna Full on the show too, just to kind of give us some rundowns of some things, and when it comes to the school board. But the school board the OPS opened my eyes this year big time too, because I didn't realize they had their own budget. Their budget is bigger than the city's budget. Look like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot, and then even though I ain't got no kids in school, I don't have any kids, and so I don't have to deal with them on that level of that's the school district that my kids are in, but them as an entity still really affect our neighborhoods in a big way, just because like all the money that's coming through really blew my mind about that. So I think I personally am understanding what you guys are talking about here. There needs to be options are going to be good. We need to bolster what's going on OPS, but we also sometimes it just might not be good for that particular kid. They need a different kind of education. All that stuff makes sense to me. Before we move on to you guys' takeaways, Buddy, on this subject of education, because we kind of talking about this today. Anything on top of mind that you want to make sure that we get asked, that we can ask them about right now?
Yeah, I'm glad you tossed it to me, because I did have one question as far as Nelson Mandela. What is that, a public school? Is that a private school? Because it's we're talking about education, and it seemed like that thing that came through the community like man, like it hit hard, and it's the impact that it's having on my peers. You know what I mean? People that you and I went to high school with, Terrell, who now have children. And they're like, man, my kid's in Mandela, man. Get your kid in Mandela. Like, bro, you know, they're doing strings in the park. And man, I didn't do that at Belvedere. They didn't have that at Skinner. So, you know, what is Mandela, and can y'all speak on that? Like, where did that come from? What's going on with that situation? And how can we get more of that? Because it seems to be a good thing in the community. Like, parents are responding.
Wait, don't lead the question now. You don't need to ask them if it's good. What is it first?
Yeah.
Is it hey, after redistricting, isn't that your district now?
It might be. It's on the border. But, it's to me, it's like a public charter school. Honestly, in the purest form, it looks like LeBron's I Promise school.
Yep.
So it's a private school that is funded completely by foundations. Diane Lozier really had the backbone behind that. But that's essentially what we're talking about, is parents are making an option not based off of their income. And if we open that up, think about other people who might say, you know what, we need to replicate that. We need to do middle school like Nelson Mandela. And now there's actually a funding source. Here's the other thing. It actually goes to a nonprofit. People are misinterpreting what this. it's a tax credit. So if I donate to this foundation, I get a tax credit. The difference is I already get a I get a tax deduction right now. All this is saying is now you get a tax credit. Here's the difference. The difference is you may be able to get a 30% deduction on your income taxes. This gives you a 1-to-1 dollar for dollar match. So we're talking about 70 to 80 cents on the dollar. And what everybody's up in arm about on giving kids the opportunity to go to a Nelson Mandela, even though Nelson Mandela is already free to parents. But it's maybe being able to create more of those in our environment.
Man, yeah. I mean, as a parent, I was trying to get my child in Nelson Mandela. Like
they got a huge wait list, huge wait list.
Bro.
But that should give you an inkling like there's a desire for this in the community.
I mean, we get nothing but positive feedback about Nelson Mandela, and I say that too. Like, why don't we have more of those kinds of schools around? Big waiting list. So that puts it in a lot of perspective for me, just understanding what Nelson Mandela is, because it's right here in the neighborhood. I know what it is, and so now if I could apply that to the nuances that you guys are talking about with the bills and where the money's going and what is actually trying to be pushed here, then that makes a lot more sense to me. So I hope it does to the chat chimers as well. Ghost Listener 402 said Mandela got a long wait list, grandson waiting forever. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I got family members that were on that wait list. But
everybody I know who has children who made it in, they love it. Like, there's no complaints.
Yeah,
and furthermore, I know people in the community who are teaching there. So it's not just the children, but there is a full community. Like, I know several people who teach there and interact with the children, and I think Shamari's sister is the coach of the Meerkats, the singing group there. Like, there's a lot of good things that are coming out of there that should be replicated.
That's what's up. Yeah, I remember us talking about that. I wish OPS would follow some of the things that Mandela does in some areas. So anyway, yeah, I want to move past it. I think we're at a good place on that. I know that you guys got it going, but I want to leave it to you guys. Let us know what's important, what's coming up, what it is that you need our support on, so that we can what's top of mind for you guys.
I guess one thing that's been on my mind, and I've been trying to figure out a way.
When he looks up and to the right, it's about to be bad.
It's going down. hey, I watched enough of the legislature to see that now. I know when a question's coming.
But I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting the other day. We had our police bills and judiciary, and as expected, there was more cops and county attorneys and less of us in the room.
I was going to ask about that.
And I know it's hard, but then it's like, bro, you turn around and you leave that room, you bust a few corners, not this week or even last week. It's like, damn, they're getting a lot of people in here for this stuff, and like voter ID and things like that. And it's nothing against those. I just think the balance of mobilization it got to be more balanced. Because we're not going to get the change we want, especially around police reform, if we don't fill the room, and we just don't keep seeing the same stuff happen every year. We're going to keep being outraged on social media about black men dying. And until we start filling that room, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Interesting you say that, man, because we've been on this whole trying to get things mobilized here now for the past couple of weeks. But it's the first time we ventured into any of that. I just understood a couple of weeks ago that bodies in the room and people speaking up is really what the senators need, what you guys need to back things. So even with that, I think maybe it's partly a little bit of a communication thing, or how, like you said last week, how sexy a topic is will get more play and get more people in there. But I hear what you're saying, man. That's why, and this is the reason why we really want you guys to be on, and really appreciate you guys coming on every week, because you can say, hey, this police bill is coming up next week. We need some bodies down there. Now we know for sure. Now I don't know if the communication is the whole problem here, but for us it is. For me it is just understanding what's important, when we're supposed to come, what's being pushed, and just hearing it all, and then saying, yeah, this would be a good time for us to get some bodies in there, and we'll put the call out. That's gonna do wonders. How about you, Brother Wayne? What's top of mind for you?
The February 14th is coming up. I want to make sure folks out there have a good Valentine's Day. take care of your partner, make them happy, do those kind of things. And then when y'all done being happy, you come back to reality and log on to the Nebraska legislature and fill out some comments. So if you can't be there, every bill you can go in and submit comments.
Yeah.
And so what I would tell you is my internet still working? Because I
Yeah, you good. You good.
See, I'm in the Capitol. They don't even want us talking down here. But if you go to the hearing schedule, you can look at the hearings for this week and hearings for next week, and it's on the front page. You just go down to hearing schedule. But I would tell everybody you can submit comments. Like submit comments. Tell your story. Tell your truth. Because those things can be powerful too. It isn't. We just need to hear from people and hear what the real stories of real life people and things like that. So that's real important. And then we just got to start talking really about education funding. Is going to be a huge thing. But I just want people not to get caught up this weekend in the shiny objects.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want people to really, because next week we start floor debate. So there probably will be the opportunity scholarship tax credit that comes up. There probably will be a gun bill that comes up. I mean, just things that come up where the talking points sound real good on one side or the other. Are you taking money away from education? Ask the question. So if the 25 million doesn't go to scholarships for kids, does it go into education? And every answer is going to be no. It's not the same funding pot. So let's not get caught up in the shiny objects and the punchlines. Let's this week focus on digging in one level deeper to figure out what's really going on and make educated comments.
There you go. Speaking of the comments, before you go, I do think this is an important question. That woman says, is each senator required to read a written testimony? Many people can't get to Lincoln. So once we send in comments, who reads it and how does it get, where does it go?
So every day, noon before the hearing. So on Mondays at noon for urban affairs, every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at noon or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at noon, you can submit a letter for the record. You can do online comments for the record and submit them. As long as it's a day in advance, you'll be counted. So every bill we say there's 17 letters for letters of records, 16 are in support, 1 are in negative. And we read all those. We look and see who's supporting, and more importantly, we look for real life stories, because those real life stories we can go in and personalize on the floor and say, during the hearing we got this letter. And it's, again, facts don't matter. Facts matter. We wouldn't be all doing half of the stuff we do. But emotion does. And so when you start talking about real people's stories and who they are, people from their district, how this law impacts them, then you get other senators saying, man, we ought to look at it. We ought to look at it.
I was wondering about that. That because some people get up there and they read their personal stories. Some people get up there with lawyers and stuff, get up there with the facts, and facts move me more sometimes. If it's undeniable facts, then that moves me. But but I know personal stories about things too. I just wondered if that did affect senators. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. That's really the kind of letters that you guys need up there for personal testimonies, basically. So makes sense.
That's valuable information, so we don't come up with a bunch of stats and scholarly research, like real human stories. Yeah, there y'all go. Hopefully that helps for those who are writing comment to give you a better idea of how to have more of an impact.
For sure.
Any last words before we let you
go?
Yep, I think they just gave us their last words.
All right.
Terrell gonna be late. Terrell gonna be late. That's what you see. I'm the chair of the hearing, and I'm gonna make it for the record. Terrell was doing an interview, and so he gonna be
late. Terrell, you in trouble. As Michelle said, you was late.
We appreciate it, man. I know there's some more comments in the chat. If you guys can come back at some point and maybe answer some of those if you have some time, appreciate it. I know you guys got to get going, and I want to make sure that we just remember this conversation is going on in the chat as well. So let me throw one last one out there. Marianne Williams has been doing a lot to provide some information on Friends of Sky Omaha. She said, question for the senators. Do you read the comments before debates too? If I miss a deadline, will it maybe still be read? Said that.
Yeah, so the online comments will keep going anytime the bill is up, and so yeah, I would say that that's the easiest way to communicate with people, specifically about a bill. The problem with emails is like, don't send a form email. If it's a form email, I'm not gonna lie, I delete them. If it says, oppose LB, and it's like I got 100 of them in my inbox, I read one, I delete the rest. Like, just being honest, it needs to be personal to you. But even the online comments, I look at them beforehand because sometimes we just miss stuff.
Yeah,
we flat out miss stuff.
And I just want to finish by saying once again, what we figured out though is bodies in the building live alive with one another. Bodies in the building speaking up is the best. There's some of the best testimony that you can give right there. So let's keep on trying to put people on Preston Love's bus and drive on up to Lincoln and all that good stuff, man.
Brother Preston Love can't keep gassing up the bus for two people, man. We can't have him gas up the bus for two people. We got to do better.
We got to fill up the bus and fill up his tank. Appreciate y'all, man. Terrell, we definitely gonna let you get going because we know you late. Right. You put all your business in the street.
Man,
all right, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace. All right, there you go. The brothers senators Terrell Mckinney and Justin Wayne puts the respect on their name. So happy that they can join us on these Fridays, man. It really makes a difference on putting what you need to put in your mind about the legislature and things going up. So that's really what's happening, man. Really appreciate that. Let's take a quick break and come right back and jump into this chat a little bit because you guys were going off. Appreciate you guys coming on through. Oh, what song is that?
Sound a little groovy a little bit.
Yeah. It was, don't know what it was, but it was groovy. We'll be right back. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
Hey.
Or the bullet. Since this is the year of the ballot or the bullet, we must understand the politics of our community. And we must know what politics is supposed to produce. And we must know what politics play in our lives. Become politically mature.
The ballot.
Oh, the bullet. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, Ghost Listeners, Chat Chimers. Shout out to Augie Kid for that ballot in the bullet track. Shout out to Malcolm X. We're here in the birthplace of Malcolm X, and his speech has been resonating with us in a big way. You got to be politically mature. Become politically mature. We're every day working on our spiritual maturity. We're every day working on just being mature and just being grown in general. But also that also keeps in mind that you gotta be politically mature as well, because people are making decisions about your life every day, bro. Every day. But I walked into my the tax lady the other day, and they had some stories on. I said, Young and the Restless is still on TV. Man. And I had to tell them, I said, if you guys want to see some real soap opera, go and turn into the legislature, watch that drama. And it's the stakes are high because whatever's going on in that room is affecting your life directly.
For real.
So, for real. Thanks for everybody that jumped into the chat here. I want to I missed a couple of things here, so I definitely want to go back and check out some things here. Clarice Jackson in the house. Good morning. She says mobilization is always key, from the legislature to the school board meetings. It takes us showing up in matters of importance, or to at least email the senators if you can't get to Lincoln. If it isn't written, it isn't said. Appreciate that. Ghost Listeners 402 says, I know Luann office getting tired of me. Hey, that's what's up. We're gonna put the pressure on. Clarice Jackson's also says, I appreciate you both supporting school choice legislation and supporting the opportunity scholarships for years now. It's time we put students first. Heard that. Amy Huffless in the house. Good morning. Says I was there, Senator McKinney. I see your frustration and it's valid. It seems like other senators specifically bring people to testify, like they plan and recruit specific people. Thanks to Sherman Wells. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we need to do some more planning and recruiting and all that too, I believe. That woman says, I believe you do. I was wondering if all the senators read them. So now I'm glad we got word that they are. Brother Knight is in the house. Says if either of the senators have a media representative, find a way to get legislative info to the eyes of the youth where they're at on TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube. Great idea,
Good
Brother
idea.
Knight. Great idea. Appreciate you coming on in this morning. And I wanted to say to you too, I hope that you didn't feel any disrespect when I was talking the other day, because last thing I want to do is disrespect my elders or any chat chimers, anybody that's coming in. So I wanted to make sure that we let you know like how things go here, so we can all have some conversation that's not going to be distracting. But I didn't mean to disrespect if I came off that way. So I appreciate you coming back, and great comment there that you have on that. We are in the business of media. We've asked the senators, do they want us to help with some of the communication out to the people? This is the first venture that we have going on with them right now, which is the legislative report on Fridays. But it could very well slide into some other pieces on YouTube and even diving into TikTok, like you're saying, on some of these things, because that's one of our goals too, is really kind of reach some younger folks too. They're the ones that really mobilize. So
yeah, I was just gonna say that with some of the activity we've seen. I mean, you think about like the Trump rally that didn't happen on Juneteenth because a bunch of kids, that was youth, that was teenagers, going online buying those tickets and not showing up. Some of the protests that we've seen locally, Benson students walking out, Central students holding a rally. So I think the activity over the last several years with the Freedom Summer and some of the things that these students have seen as they're growing up, I do think that younger generations are going to be more politically active and civically engaged. So continuing that could go a long way.
There you go. Vicky Young in the chat, good morning, says personal stories matter. Vicky Young also somebody hit me up that I haven't gotten a chance to get back to. I will definitely give you a call soon. Ariel's 402 says, are there any key points writers should try to hit that hold more value? I think we got the answer to that question. Personal stories, personal testimonies for sure. Carolyn Jackson thanks the senators. So do I. Clarice Jackson says, she's replying to Vicky Young. Ty Williams says, I agree with what Paul just said. I'm really just understanding. Tell me when I will attend. Man. Yeah. I mean, you ain't got to sell me on the fact that we need police and jail reform. I just got to know, there's just, it's all in translation and communication, man. I really feel like that's the only thing. Like some things sound sexier to other people. Some people who are about a cause are just people who are more influential. And so their message gets spread far and wide, whereas other people's don't. As you can see, Brother McKinney is a very low-key cat. He's very passionate about what he's about, but he's also very low-key, where else you might only respond to people who are very loud on the microphone all the time. I mean, there's all these different things, and I'm hoping that with us spending the time that we spend here, it's the reason why we spend like a whole 2-hour show. We might say some things several different times, several different ways, because we really need to try to get the point to everybody. And sometimes that's really tough because it's just communication. For me, like I said, you don't got to sell me on that. All you got to do is tell me here's the time, here's the date, it's coming up. This is what we need to do at this particular point in time. Buy out the time from everything else, because this is the one that's important. And as soon as you say that to me, and I'm already sold on what the thing is that's important, I'm going to do my best to try to get there. And it really is like I'm sitting here like, ooh, I didn't write no letter that day, and ooh, I didn't go up there that day either. But I don't know. I can't really tell you why I didn't, because I believe in the cause. It has something to do with the timing of the communication. It has something to do with if something was on my mind heavier at that point in time. It could have been, we just said that we was in a tax hole for the past 2 weeks. It could have been the tax situation the tax crisis that we just kind of went through. It could have been whatever was going on in our personal heads and lives at the time. But there's a way to cut through some of that in places. And like Brother Knight said, maybe a TikTok thing would help. Maybe something else that would put it on people's minds a little bit deeper and more. So we're in the business of communication and media. We're going to keep on experimenting with that and try to get it to where it is turning first I got to turn the corner myself first, and then hopefully I can translate that out.
Right.
Yeah, man. So Clarice Jackson said, appreciate the dialogue and the platform to get this info out. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can't wait to build on this more. Stetsy Jean says, thank you, senators, as well. Ariel's 402 says, hit the like. Pop says, with these two brothers, the floodgates of knowledge and understanding open wide. Man, for real, for real.
That's what it's about, man. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So we can all come to that first sky together and move together. Then, that's kind of what it's about. And coming to understanding. I mean, can't really, because a lot of us don't understand what's going on, and that lack of understanding, kind of causes some other mental things, like you kind of disassociate, and you kind of distance yourself, and you don't really, even though, like you said, even though it's important, if you have a lack of understanding, it's almost like just the daunting emotion or thought of getting to understand it and then moving on that understanding, like just the getting to understand it can be daunting sometimes. So I definitely appreciate, that we can come together and get to the bottom of things together, because teamwork makes the dream work, man. I keep saying it, but I actually saw a video on social media that was talking about movement, community movement. And although, we have Kanye's and we have, black billionaires and millionaires, we still don't feel like we have gone as far as we should have since slavery, as a people. And it's about like, we all have to get it together. We all have to, like, if we don't move together, if there's not a collective advancement, then we didn't get anywhere. We didn't do anything, even if individuals do get it, even if individuals are moving. So, teamwork makes the dream work, man. And I think what stuck to me was time. That's what it is. Like we say, do you believe in the concept of time? If we as a collective don't move, then time itself isn't moving. You know what I mean? We didn't reach a new stage or age because collectively we're not moving.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That, and if we don't believe in the concept of time, that's one reason why, because time is not thought of in the right way. And I like what you're just saying about that. If we're movement is what we're after. It's not about time, it's about movement.
Right.
So yeah, appreciate that very much. Just want to jump back in the chat a little bit more. Clarice Jackson said, good morning. If parents want to continue follow school choice initiatives, you can follow Nebraska Parents Coalition on Facebook. So here's some information there to definitely check it out. Also, let's see, Ariel's 402 says the Omaha Police Department is having a teen summit. The senator's leaders should have a community teen summit and explain a lot of the statistics they face so that they can decide to follow the narrative or not. I agree. I think Ariel's 402 earlier was talking about events that like Republicans have all the time, and you don't hear a lot about it from independents or Democrats. So yeah, events, rallies, they do a lot of recruiting and bringing people there to back and all that stuff. So it's just interesting, like how different organizations, different things work. We're just really trying to bring information. Stetsy Jean said, information is power. That's what we're trying to do, is bring the power. So appreciate that. Pop says we must all hang together, or most assuredly we will hang separately. From Benjamin Franklin said that. That's cold.
That just kind of suck in. Yeah, that's cold. That's cold blooded right there.
Yeah, that's what's up. Stuart, our brother Knight says whether one keeps up or gets left behind is what matters for sure. It's all about the kids, man. We gotta remember that.
That's attached to an earlier statement. He says time always moves. Ursa Major proves that.
Come on with the wisdom. I love that. Whether one keeps up or gets left behind is what matters. Yeah, not about the time. Appreciate you bringing that earlier comment in there. That's great. I love that. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Yeah, might have to. Yeah, that's up there with the tricky words of wisdom. Gotta marinate on that one.
Is that in your book? I'm gonna have to go down. That's what's really going on. It's 8:39 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, let's go ahead and jump into some lightning round stuff so we can make sure that we have enough time for the Haps today. It is Friday, and we'd like to talk a little bit about the Haps. Get your Haps ready for the Haps section at the end of the show so we can find out what's going on this weekend and support We already know one Haps that's happening. If you can get down to the legislature today, very important bill on whether or not doctors can
Man.
decide on what they want based on their own personal morals. It's deep.
That's deep. Yeah, man. That's a slippery slope if I ever seen one, man. So even if you can't, let's as asked, even though it's not 24 hours, we're past that 24-hour before the bill gets proposed or gets discussed window, you can still write in. You can still write in, as Senator Wayne just said, as long as the bill is on the floor, that portal is open. So go ahead and write in those statements. But yeah, man, before we get out of here, let's go ahead and dive into a couple more articles. I don't know if we want to lightning round this one or talk about it, in length. I'll kind of leave that up to the chat. But we definitely have to talk about this attack on the trans woman, because we can't let that go just fall by the wayside or get swept under the rug, as some would possibly hope to see. But we got to let this be known that this is happening in our community. A police report lists the attack as a robbery offense and gives little information, as there is an ongoing investigation, but it has now officially been reported, although we know in the community, the media is finally reporting that a sister by the name of Karma was attacked and left basically unable to move, left for dead in a snow pile behind her place of employment downtown. A shout out to Eli Rigatuso, who's a friend of First Sky, says, I think there was a deeper motivation than robbery. Again, that's what the attack is being considered. But the fact that Karma is a transgender woman, people are thinking that this has more to do with it. Eli went on to say, I think that as a trans woman, especially a trans woman of color, walking around out in the world today is a huge risk. Black, brown, trans women are being murdered at the highest rates across the nation. Karma is showing progress in her recovery. However, Eli does say that Karma is now able to speak after a device was removed. Again, there were neck and spinal injuries due to this attack. Also, Eli went on to say, we're seeing some positive signs when it comes to what she can feel and being able to move. Only time will tell. Again, Karma is a well-known member of the community, a musician, fashion designer, and drag queen, according to Rigatuso. Rigatuso also says that Karma and they met in 2015 when Eli came out as transgender. Lilola is derived from the first two letters of live, laugh, and love, according to Rigatoso, which is the last name of Karma Lilola.
I was wondering what that Lilola was about.
There you go.
Ariel's Pro 2, if those cowards could do that to her, they could be cowards towards you too. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, man. I don't care what you do or who you are or what you got going on. You don't need to get beat and left for dead in Omaha, Nebraska.
Period.
So period. And the reason why this and here's the other thing about this story that I got to mention too. It's just now getting in the news. Because we're in touch with our community around here. We heard about this when it went down, and people chimed up because this person, Karma, is apparently somebody who's very, very active in the community and has been mentoring folks and people. And there's mentees that are chiming up, crying. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's absolutely a hate crime. It's absolutely a hate crime, man. It's absolutely somebody. This is the reason why some of that talk is so divisive, because other people who ain't stable can translate all what you're trying to treat them like into violence and just decide it's okay to just beat somebody and leave them for dead, face down in the snow. So we're going to put in the chat the GoFundMe because I don't care who it is, bro. Nah. And let me tell you what, like people say, he just said it best. Ariel's Force 2 just said it best. If those cowards could do that to her, they could be cowards towards you too.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line, man. If we don't get this hate crime out of here, if we let hate crime and stuff like that slide with all these militia groups around us, they better treat this like a hate crime. They better.
And that is a thing. They are, according to the investigation, according to the article, a police report lists the incident as a robbery offense and gives little information, but does mention a possible assault and possible fall. It lists a robbery offense, a suspect, and a hate bias status code that means unknown. It said that she had extensive injuries to the neck and spine, and her cell phone and keys were missing. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that means as far as the hate bias status code being unknown. Yeah, that's the interesting point.
She might
also,
be. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say really quickly. Also, was kind of interesting to me is the timing of all this. We talk about how to support bills, how do you get things going, and we have transgender people being attacked in the street at the same time as we have an anti-transgender bill being debated on the floor. I don't think that's ironic.
Woo! Tell the truth. That's what I'm saying, man. A lot of people came out in support. A lot of people, came out in support of that community when those bills were being talked about. And yeah, and I can, you can feel the hate in the room with some people when you're watching that. So yeah, it's no coincidence that that's going down now. And then we have all of a sudden we have a prominent member of the LGBTQ community getting beat to near death. She might be paralyzed. They're saying.
Yeah.
Brother Muhammad is also bringing up a good point. He says all women, as well as especially women of color, trans or not, walking around are at risk.
Yeah, I mean, remember the sister that was harassed by that officer.
Yep, that's real. That's definitely real. So yeah, this is kind of a mention. We wanted to we talked about this already, and we wanted to kind of keep up on the story and just basically say this is what happened. This is messed up. Here's the GoFundMe. And we gotta keep our eye on these types of things. Yeah, it doesn't like if I'm around, man, I'm just not. I don't like nobody. Nobody needs to be getting hurt. The violence that you portray. There's too much in my head about it. I gotta actually kick back because I got a vision of who the cats were that did this. I have a real good idea of what the motive was behind all this and everything. She was out in front of her work when this happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much to it. And really, I don't care who it is. Nobody needs to get beat and left for dead in downtown Omaha. What kind of mess is that? Ariel's Pro 2 says how the police and the coroners report things is detrimental in court. Thankfully, that officer noted that. Yeah. I mean, and then like I said, man, because she was a transgender woman of color, how we breaking the news?
Man, because we're hyper local. It's we kind of had the conversation, but I don't think that's a small thing. The fact that we're from and of the community. No offense to the Channel 3s and Channel 7s out there, but a lot of their journalists are just kind of sweeping through town. They might be here for 2 or 3 years and then they're gone. But like, we're from the community, we're of the community. It just hits different. It just hits differently.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody that is giving some positive comments here about things and understanding why we are making this a point. This is headlines in our community for sure. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, man, messed up. Let's move on. We got a little bit of time left, so let's move on. I definitely want to have a look at extensive Haps. Yeah,
it's about 12 minutes. Is that enough time for extensive Haps? We got anything else?
Was that the last story?
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of. I have a couple stories about the education thing, but I do feel like we had a good conversation on it. Again, if you want to address the education bill that we were discussing, it is LB 753. It is called the Opportunity Scholarship Act, I believe. Yep, Opportunity Scholarships Act. And this again. I'm trying to get the actual. Yeah, LB 753 creates a more generous tax break for donors to such scholarship that than for other causes that are about 70% of such aid benefits current. I gotta read that again. It says opponents. Oh, okay, that's what it is. It says opponents said that LB 753 creates more generous tax break for donors to such scholarships than for other causes, and that 70% of such aid benefits current private school students. Again, talking about the tax breaks that Senator Justin Wayne. was alluding to. So again, LB 753 is the bill that's being discussed. If you would like to look more into that, please do so. And again, if you feel the need or the desire, or you feel inclined to write comment, please do so. There you go.
Right on. Also today, LB 810 adopt the Medical Ethics Diversity Act. Now that we've talked about it today, it is realized how much more important that is.
Yeah.
I'm putting the legislative page of that in there so that you can check that out and definitely see what's happening. Maybe get in the car if you got the day off and go ride down and talk about this. This is going to be deep. As a matter of fact, like I said, when I heard about it before, it was more about abortion. That was kind of what the whoever I heard it from, that was the point there. But this is the reason why we talk about it here and dig deeper and so on and so forth. There's more things to it. So it might have been something that closed the ears of one person, and then you're not thinking it's important. But when we talk about what it can mean, like when Miss Erica Felt gets on and talks about the fact that in her cancer treatments, there's several places where she can get messed up by this law.
Mm-hmm.
Then you understand something a little differently. And now it's more important for me than ever to say that we need to kind of go down and make sure that we oppose and fight against this LB 810, Adopt the Medical Ethics and Diversity Act. Your doctor needs to do what he does, not based on what church he's going to and what he thinks is right and wrong and what's ethical to him and all that. You can forget it. Man. Going into the chat, Ghost Listeners 402 says private schools always need money. Money may only go to current kids. Definitely a issue there. Rick Fulton says promoting private schools doesn't solve the problem that plagues public schools. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I definitely had my mind changed a little bit today about choices, about being able to have different choices for sure on that.
Well, I'll say this. I definitely agree with you on choices. People need options. People need choices. People need to be able to choose what works best for them. But regardless of what that choice is, regardless if a child is going to a private charter or a public school, what home are they going to? What home life are they going to? What community are they going to? It doesn't really make a difference if they go to a good school and then they still got to go home and, take care of their parents. They, take care of their household and can't really do their homework or focus. Like what kind of support and resources do these families have? That's what's really gonna make an impact. It doesn't matter what school they're going to if they're still struggling at home.
That's the point. Yeah, I like what Gwen Easter's saying over here too. She said, I support school choice, especially for kids with learning disabilities, dyslexia, due to my own personal school experience. I have tutored kids and adults since 1998. Started as AmeriCorps educator, tutor at OPS and other organizations, which is where I discovered the schools were still failing kids. I continue to help children after opening my childcare business to prepare my kids early for kindergarten. I created a school-age tutoring program to help children who struggled with reading and have learning disabilities, dyslexia, due to schools not wanting to address and help our kids. I also had a youth and adult literacy GED ESL program to help youth and adult programs and provided the same support to adults. Unfortunately, due to the monopoly and having to fight for my childcare businesses, the adult programs was put on hold after serving youth and adults for 15 years in this area. It's a long time that these problems have been out here, and I appreciate Gwen Easter that's talking about doing the work. Yes, that medical bill hearing is today, Miss Easter. So, like I said, if we can try to get people down, that'd be very, very, very important to get down on today for sure. Stuart Brother Knight said the last one I wrote got partially read on the floor. It was too direct, partially read on the floor. I like that. He's talking about writing letters into the legislature on certain bills, which we can do if we cannot get down there. Beth Davis Wilson in the house. Good morning over here on Facebook says private schools have no oversight, nor do they have to take students they don't want.
Yep.
Somebody else said private schools aren't necessarily better than public schools. So yeah, I like the fact that we're talking about none of these schools are perfect. So hopefully one will resonate with a certain kid more than another one will, and that's the best really we can do at this point. It seems like to me. But the more options for schools gives there's so many different ways of learning. First of all, that certain kids can learn visually. Certain kids got to learn by movement. So many different ways that kids learn that hopefully there's enough choices out there to find something that works for the kid. That's kind of where I'm at on this now. Aries 402 says school choice is good. If the schools are equal, have to make a choice based on not being equal. It is not. Yeah, something to consider. Definitely something to consider. So yeah, we'll keep on talking about this. This is the evergreen topic. We talk about education in schools all the time. Hopefully our thoughts and viewpoints are evolving on what that means, what those things mean. My takeaway for today personally is it's all about the choices. So, of course, there's nuance in all that, just like how Ariel's 402 is saying, they got to be equal. There's a lot to understand here, and there's a lot to dig into. A shout out to the parents that are always going down to the school to find out what that school is about, what they're going to do, and how they're going to treat them. And shout out to the parents that decide they got to pull them out. Best thing for their kids is to homeschool, or shout out to the people that are trying to get their kid in Mandela because they see the value there. I mean, this is all something that the parents really got to pay attention to and decide for their kids.
It starts at home.
There you go. With that said, thank you for your comments. We'll definitely continue to dig in and dig deep. If you've missed any parts of the show, go back to YouTube and Facebook, watch the show in entirety, and also, not just that, but look at the comments because that's really where everything is being talked about and stated is in the comments. We're pulling from the comments and just really appreciate everybody having such intelligent things to say in the comments. Right now it is 8:56. We got about 4 minutes left in the show. Let's go ahead and jump into some Haps.
What's the Haps? What's happening? What's going down?
Hey, it's funny. Ariel's 402 says, in the words of the great poet E40, everybody needs choices.
Man, read my mind exactly. Everybody got choices.
and this Haps beat is very, very Bay Area too. Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the Haps. Time for us to talk a little bit about what's coming up this weekend that we think you ought to check out. Even as of today, legislature is the place to be today.
Man, going down.
So it's going down. So and it's also a place for you to tell us about what's going on this weekend. Hopefully, you can send that information to us via the chat, and we can talk about it and see. Yeah, man, it's time to kind of get out here and do some things. I can jump into one real quick while you are looking at some stuff. Oh, you got it up already. Yep,
Yeah,
I was going to put that in the chat. So we are of the same mind here on this.
Yeah, man. That was the one I was going to actually I was thinking about, including in the lightning round, but I figured we can go ahead and get into the Haps with it, get the thing rolling. But big shout out to everybody who showed up at the 15th annual State of North Omaha that happened at Omaha North not too long ago, a couple weeks ago now, I guess. And now they're rounding back around for part 2. So you can register for that if you would like to join that. This will be at Metro Community College's Fort Campus this time. It's going down tomorrow at 9 a.m. So again, you can hit the link. We just posted that in the chat for you to register. But yeah, let's try to show up. Hopefully this will be more of a planning portion of the meeting. I believe we had Sister Tamika Meese, who was kind of speaking of this and what are the next steps. And they are, again, planning on having more of a town hall, more of a planning meeting. So hopefully more action steps will come out of this. Again, if you'd like to be part of the conversation, it's going down tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Metro Community College, Fort Omaha campus. So
hit that link and definitely here's what the page looks like when you hit the link so that you can go ahead and sign up and get in and get busy with it. So yeah, definitely check it out, man. It's funny that we were talking about this earlier because the first round they were like, this is a bunch of people talking about what they did and not a whole lot of action. So I guess they already knew that's how they planned on it that way, because here's part 2, and hopefully it's moving forward together is part 2. So hopefully this is they believe in teamwork makes the dream work, and they can try to make some things happen over there as well. But of course, if we're there, then we can assist in pushing things in whatever direction we need them to push. So you can do this in person or via Zoom. This happens once a year. It's the 16th annual. So if you can make it, because it's a once a year thing. And I think a lot of plans and things come out of these sessions when they do that one. So what we plan on doing for the whole rest of the year is going to be talked about here for sure.
Yeah, man.
So
some real community planning, real community brainstorming coming together. So yeah, let's make sure we're at the table.
Let's do that. Just want to give a shout out to Culture House, Benson Theater, Douglas County Visitors Improvement Fund is funding Ode to Hip Hop, 50 Years of Culture. This is brought to you by Benson Theater, Michelle Troxclair, and Culture House. And there's going to be a huge concert that's going down. This is February 12th. So this is going to be happening Sunday, February 12th. Doors open at 6:30. Come on through and check this out. The winner of the DJ battle that happened over at Culture House was DJ Skyscraper, and he's going to be performing on this night over here at the Benson Theater. Thailand music. That's if you don't know who Thailand is, you're about to be pleasantly surprised. Super talent. And she's bringing her band, and that band is going to be also backing Marcy Yates and Lightpole. And then, of course, we'll be hearing from DJ Skyscraper, who won the DJ battle as well. So, Ode to Hip Hop, 50 Years of Culture. Come check it out. This is Michelle Troxclair's event in conjunction with the Benson Theater and the Culture House, funded by Douglas County Visitors Improvement Fund. So, shout out to them. Appreciate everybody who's been behind all this. And this collaboration with Benson Theater and Culture House, awesome.
Man.
Awesome. Loving what's happening there. So yeah, definitely come out if you are not a if you like me and don't really care too much about the Super Bowl, because I think that's also
man, that is this weekend. Man, I almost forgot. You know how I do for the Super Bowl.
You're hanging out with me too long. See,
you know how we do, man.
Yeah,
I got one. If you got anything else,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Man, shout out to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Shout out to Brother Malcolm and in the land that birthed him, Omaha. There will be a Malcolm X screening. Again, the film Malcolm X by Spike Lee. There will be a screening tonight, actually, at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. That's from 6:45 to 10:30. So,
where the flyer at, man? Who's gonna tell us?
Let me pull it up and show the folks.
Got a nice voice and everything, but I want to see something.
Here's the flyer. So again, make sure we, celebrating and supporting. There we go, the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation and Brother Malcolm. Again, film screening of Malcolm X. Again, screening the iconic film by Spike Lee. And actually, I just saw, I think there's like an anniversary or something coming up, because I did just see Spike Lee drop some merch for that film, a new capsule. It's looking pretty good, man. Hold on, let me try to find that for the people. But,
that's what's up.
Yeah, it's going down tonight, man. 6:45 at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. That's 3448 Evans Street, I believe.
Man, good memory.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's been a while. But again, right up the street from the old timeout, I guess. Is it the old timeout now?
Yeah, well, it's still timeout for the moment. So yeah.
Now,
I guess so. While Buddy's looking for that, I just want to remind people about these bills coming up that were on Brother Terrell McKinney's page, LB 630. Provide a duty to the State Department of Education and require a school board to adopt a written dress code. This is so that they can quit getting discriminated against for their hairstyles and so on and so forth. If this is important to you, definitely get ready to put this up. We'll start doing these a little earlier. This is February 14th. So you got a couple days to try to get a ride up and all that good stuff. Also, February 15th, there's another one that's coming up, LB 339, provide for confidentiality of prosecutions and adjudications of minors, extend jurisdiction under the Nebraska Juvenile Code. This is all about keeping our records and stuff like that for juveniles and really protecting the juveniles. That's what this is all about. Prohibit sending juveniles out of state. If they get in trouble, they got to be sent out of state. And now, in order to be in contact with their parents got to drive a distance to be with their child during a hard time. It's all messed up how they got these things going on. So definitely take a look at these bills, and if you're behind them, then start making some plans to go up February 15th at 1:30. And it gives you where to go and everything. Judiciary Committee Room 1113. And this is what we need. Bodies on deck for all these things. All right, with that, Buddy, it's already 9:04. You want to show us what you got?
Yeah, I can't find it. I'll drop it on Friends of, for those who are interested. There's some dope merch, man. So man, that's all right. Yeah, just check us out, Friends of First Sky Omaha, is where the conversation continues. So definitely check us out there. And I guess parting words.
Yep. Marianne Williams is giving us some advice here. Says, please comment in opposition to this bill to pay young workers a sub-minimum wage by noon today. So that's something that's coming up on Monday, I guess. They're saying you got to write something the day before. So by noon today, if you can, what bill was that? I can't remember what bill that was. I used to know it. Said Nebraska voted to raise the minimum wage, and they did not ask the legislation to change it. Sub minimum wage for young workers, LB 327. So check out LB 327, and like the senators say, if you're going to write something, write about your personal experience. How did you ever have a job where you had sub minimum wage, or your kids? What did it do? How did you make any money? How did this affect you at all? It seems to be real messed up that they would decide to do that, especially in a time where we're trying to up the minimum wage, and that's been passed. So yeah, definitely check that out. Appreciate you, Marianne Williams. Always put that stuff in Friends of First Sky Omaha, and we'll try to keep up with it. And just keep trying to spread the word, man. That's what we got to do. That woman says, "Have a beautiful weekend. Great show. Be good to yourselves. Drink water. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for your update and your news. Definitely get a hold of you soon." Buddy, you got any words for the people?
And as always, big shout out to the dynamic duo of brother Senators Terrell Mckinney and Justin Wayne. Put some respect on their name. We definitely appreciate them for taking time out of their busy schedule to come and break some things down for us. So we appreciate that. As always, big shout out to all the chat chimers, those of you bringing questions, ideas, concepts, thoughts, just bringing your voice to the conversation. We definitely appreciate that. As I always say, conversation rules the nation, and we see communication goes a long way. So let's keep it going, man. Thanks to all of you ghost listeners out there who continuously support this platform and remind us of its importance, man. It's all of you who keep us going. It's all of you who let us know the role that we're playing. So hopefully we can continue playing that role and being of service and adding just a little something extra to your lives, man. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. And until next time, catch the same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. Excuse me, Paul B. Take it away, man.
Right on. Just want to let everybody know. Go ahead and get your tickets together. We going to this. So meet us down there. Yeah, it's going down. I'll keep on putting this up, but yeah. So we had such a great time last time, except for me catching COVID.
Man, that was after though. That was when we got back.
That was during. I remember when it hit me. I missed all of Maxwell because I was sitting up there about to pass out. So, yeah. So anyway, just want to say thank you for everybody. We'll definitely got some events coming up in the middle of the year as well. So stay in tune with us in order to talk about those things. And really appreciate everybody that's doing the work and mobilizing everything this year. So teamwork makes the dream work. We really appreciate everybody who is on the team and is sharing the same dream. That's the only time any of these things work. And that's what we're here doing. Pop says, "What an awesome show. My heartfelt thanks and love to you both and the entire First Sky fam. Have a good weekend, everybody." Appreciate you, Pops.
Hey.
Appreciate you for real joining us. Wouldn't be the show without you. So really appreciate that. And appreciate all of you, the Omaha tribe elders who allow us to be on this land and speak while we're here. I appreciate you, our elders, allowing us to speak in front of you, for you, about before you is what I'm trying to say. I really appreciate that very much. Normally, and when I say that, for those of you that do not know, normally if you're in the room with the elders, you let the elders speak first, unless they give you permission to speak before them. And we are in a room and because it's set up the way it is, we don't really are not really able to ask the elders to speak first because this is our show. So we thank them for allowing us to speak before them in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then usually the elders come on and speak right away. So we appreciate that very much. So speaking of Pops, as always, first in the list.
Yeah, man.
Stacy G said, "Great show, very informative. I want to give a shout out to the brother Senators Terrell Mckinney and Justin Wayne. Put some respect on their names as well. What's going on, brother Lavelle? Appreciate you, my brother. I just gave thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on the land and speak while we're here. So I appreciate you coming in. We'll have to talk to you soon, my brother. And also want to give a shout out to the chat chimers that allow us to speak with you. We really appreciate the conversations and everything that you guys provide, and the information and everything too. Like Buddy said, really makes a difference in our lives. And I hope we make a difference in your lives as well. Leia Keister says, "Thanks for another slam dunk week. Have a great weekend." Thank you very much. I appreciate you. You didn't give us no Friday this morning. What happened to your Friday?
Yeah.
We'll see you this weekend. Hopefully, man. Hopefully we'll see what's going on. Like I said, meet us over at the Benson Theater Sunday for the hip hop concert of the year that's happening, celebrating 50 years of hip hop. We'll definitely be there checking it out. So thank you very much for everybody who is a part of supporting any of these things that we're doing around here in our community. We really got limited support, so when you guys do, it really makes a huge difference. So thank you very much.
Man,
there was something else I was gonna say, but I can't remember what it is now. We're already late, so I'm gonna go ahead and get going. Look for some posts in Friends of First Sky Omaha. That's where we continue the conversation when we're not live.
yeah.
So if you're not a part of that group, please join it and let's talk.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
just a thought for the people. This will be the first year that we'll have Omaha Days. This is the first. This will be the first year that Omaha Days will happen while First Sky Omaha is in existence. What we doing?
Well, one of the things that we're doing is going out to Napa Valley, because unfortunately Omaha Days is the last week of July. So we're gonna miss a couple of Omaha Days because we're gonna be out of town. But we are setting up to cover a lot of what Omaha Days is going to be doing. So that's kind of what we're doing. We part of our audience is Omaha natives that live in other places, other states that still have a tie to Omaha and North Omaha especially, and want to tune in and find out what's going on. They ain't gonna find out from Channel 7. They're gonna find out from us. So that community is growing. Shout out to them. Shout out to North Omaha people that are living in Atlanta, Vegas, all these different places, Cali. Right. So what we would want to try to do this year is cover Native Omaha Days for those of you that can't make it back, and kind of see what's going on in the streets, in the hood when it goes down. So let's get prepared for that. Anybody wants to help volunteer with us on those tips too, let us know so we can really kind of enhance what's going on Native Omaha Days and be able to broadcast that out for people who aren't here to see it. That's kind of where we need to be. Yeah, man. It says, peace, fellas. Have a great weekend. Peace to you too. Thank you. We will talk soon. Take care of yourselves this weekend. We'll see you Monday when we'll bring back people from Flatwater Free Press, and hopefully Carla Velasquez will also join us from the Reader in El Perico this time. So we'll see you Monday for News Monday. Until then, peace.
By the way, Vanglorious, this is protected by the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad, with the key.
By any